Hey everybody, it's your buddy Beard Grizzly. The faction rallies are around the corner and I can't help but be excited for them to come back to Destiny. The game feels great. There's a lot to do and plenty of side missions, especially with 3 characters, of which I have 1 done because time sucks. Anyway, the game does feel pretty different, and I think a lot of that has to do with the factions. With them being present in the tower but not around, it's a very weird feeling. It feels like a part of the game is straight missing. I mean, I guess that's more obvious than anything, but you get what I mean. The tower feels empty without them. What's even weirder is how Bungie has seemingly retconned some lore and given it a different all-around spin, which doesn't paint a very good picture of what to expect in the coming weeks. I'm gonna let the new exotic boots called the Peacekeepers do the talking for me. Figuratively. Oh hell, I'm just gonna read the lore tab now. Designed for the seamless delivery of justice in an unjust world. Peacekeepers once patrolled the city before the Red Legion's attack. They were guardians, but their interest was in protecting our core, our home. Most understood the value in exploration, but the Peacekeepers were old guard, born in the aftermath of the Iron Lords. They lived through the faction rallies, bore witness to what damage internal strife could bring to a fragile society. They vowed to keep the factions in check and stood at the gates as our walls expanded and our city became a home. Now, nothing remains of the Order, yet their legacy delivers a harsh truth. The last safe city was never truly safe. Now, either these boots come from the future, or Bungie did a little rewriting, otherwise known as a retcon. It's a way to alter a story after the fact and change a phrase, a name, an entire sequence for the benefit of keeping the story you're telling on track. Some of you may already know where I'm going with this, but the only entry we have on the faction rallies before this is nothing. They were known as the Faction Wars previously, a time when there were many factions that fought for power and sought overall dominion over certain fields of study or just over certain regions of the city. This led to gangs and other groups forming, but it mostly caused humanity to be divided and become splintered before the walls of the city had even been built. Having this little blurb about a group of guardians that watched over the city as a kind of police force after or during the faction wars gives us an idea of just how bad it may have been. There was another seemingly mightier guardian that took place in this war, however, one that really had a large hand in putting an end to it. His name was Razil Azir, and as a side note, if you don't know his story, well, that's for another day entirely. Razil's account of the faction wars is the best we have. Factions grew from the huddled masses, like minds coming together to provide support, comfort. Over time, these loyalties demanded loyalty. Differences that used to inform, viewpoints that when joined granted a larger understanding of the whole, became points of conflict. The sanctuary became divided. The shadow of light grew darker. This, humanity's last oasis, slowly faded to a mirage. Great, powerful men and women, the Risen, stood at the faction's sides. Protection, enforcers, misused possibility. Misery crept into this false paradise, yet hope lingered. Seeing the cracks in this society, born beneath the giant's fractured shell, some among the Risen challenged the dissolution of all that could be. They would no longer serve as instruments of oppression. They would be more. Thus began an unnecessary war made necessary by greed, ambition, fear. And in the chaos of this struggle came the survivors, aliens with appetites, a common enemy. In the end, the scavengers were repelled and the factions fell, their grip broken, though their beliefs remained. This was the earliest days of the Guardians, when might found purpose. Prosperity was in reach. Funny how, when all is said and done, the Fallen were actually the ones that pulled us together. It makes me think that that scene in the Zavala trailer showcasing the first couple Guardians here and the Titans around him was actually during this period of time where we were first coming together as a full society underneath the Traveler. Still, the factions remained as an important part to us in the early days of the city. There were plenty of reasons to keep them around, with like-minded ideals rallying the people under like-minded banners. So long as they could be controlled and more organized to upkeep their own mannerisms and bore some kind of good nature from what they sought to do for humanity, That was what the Tower and the Consensus was looking for. The Consensus is a group of the 3 major factions that are voted in at the time, the Speaker and the Vanguard. Underneath them, in some regard, would be the Peacekeepers then, along with the Guardians that may serve those factions or others, like civilian workers. Well, hang on now. The factions are still around, and so is the Vanguard, but the Speaker is seemingly gone, as are the Peacekeepers, wiped out in the attack with Gaul. Being focused on the upkeep of the city, of course these guys would have made a stand to go against the Red Legion en masse for the sake of the people. You know, the ones without powers to really protect themselves from an invading force like the Cabal. We, as Guardians, often forget that, I think, and this was a major wake-up call to start paying attention more to the down below, off our high point in the city, to know what the normal civilian might be going through. Then again, with new ideals and new powers in the city after the attack on Gaul, and the factions and Vanguard needing a little time to get back to normal, well, I'm a bit worried, to say the least.
With everyone embracing Hawthorne's power to the people message, maybe they don't have as much patience for factions like New Monarchy. This is weird. Was someone spying on Iraq Jalal? Some of the papers are signed Iraq, but it's not Jalal's handwriting. I don't think I'll ever understand faction politics. I think somebody stole these supplies from New Monarchy. References in the logs to following Hawthorne's lead. I wonder what that means.
There are a few other scans that exist around the tower, but in this post-Gaul city, the people are left to feel that they're not so safe. Anyway, with this instability within our walls and no enforcers to really control things if they get out of hand, it just paints this picture that the faction rallies aren't going to be a very fun time. I mean, they're going to be fun, because loot and more things to get, and more missions and junk, but from a lore stance, it feels like this may bring about a weird time for the city again, a time where the factions may use their positions to gain more power. Dead Orbit could use their station to increase their overall message to get out of the city, and start splitting up our forces from the rebuilding efforts. Future War Cult may bolster their ideas to build a military force, continuing to talk about the inevitability of war, only that this time it's come true, and to fool us twice would be shame on us. New Monarchy, well, they could be interested in asking us to be their king this time around, since Zavala wasn't quite as into saving the city this time around without his powers. I think he's learned a few lessons, though. But New Monarchy has the message of Hawthorne to contend against, with mixed messages seemingly forming from the stations of her clans and the power of the people. Each faction has something they want, but each will have a new hurdle to get over this time around. Just remember that when you pick a faction, you pick an ideal. You stand with a group that offers different perspective of what the tower, the city, and its people should overall stand to do. When all 3 work together, these ideals can create a harmony the likes of which humanity has never seen, looking to structure for war, for escape, and for the city's union of its people and industry. When they stand too far apart, however, it creates a rift, like that at the time that Razil Azir and the early settlers had to work through. Let's hope it doesn't come to that again. The factions are a bit of a necessary evil, if you want to call them that, looking to construct weapons, ships, armor, housing, expansion for the city and its people, protection, recon, the list goes on. The factions are a needed part of this great collection of humanity, but let's hope they learned from the past of how not to handle themselves, even if we don't have a group of guardians to watch over their every action below or above. Still, I'm sure some will be more than happy to step in and take up arms against those that fall out of line. In either event, save for a couple pieces, that seems to be the end of what we know of the faction rallies of the wars so far. The basics of gameplay sound pretty typical of the old days of Destiny, but just with a bit of a twist. I'm anxious to see all the new gear and if there's any new lore we can get out of the factions. I'm a bit sad though that there's no way to see what they were doing before with Gaul and everything, or if we could have pulled them back into the city like I thought of in an earlier video, but at least they're coming back home. If you guys are also excited, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I'm hoping Destiny 2 feels more like home after their return. Leave a like or dislike with what you thought of this summation, and of course subscribe for more lore content in the future, but if nothing else, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next Spacetime Guardian. Take care, and happy hunting! Okay, yes, the video's over, so you guys can head out now if you'd like. This ending spot is here just for those interested in listening to a couple bits from me for a bit. I just wanted to say a few things that I've had on my mind and just get them off my chest. First off, to any of those, of course, this channel has been blowing up pretty quickly, at least in my mind, and I don't know what to say. Thank you guys. If you're, sharing the videos, if you're kind of telling your friends about what I'm doing over here, thank you so much for that. I never thought that I would even get, up to just underneath 15,000 subscribers, and yet here we are doing that. So thank you guys once again. I've been a bit stressed, and you guys have probably seen that actually with my upload schedule the way it has been. Just a lot of stuff that's been going on with life, with work, and everything else, so I've been trying to take a little extra time, but I don't want to make it so that I'm like staying away from you guys. That's actually one thing that I'm kind of thankful for YouTube with right now, because they gave me the ability to actually do the community posts that you've been seeing once in a while from me. And I know some people are getting annoyed with me because they're not even subscribed, and apparently they're seeing it, but oh well. All the same, I do like that that's an option here for the channel right now. It's a great way for me that when I need to post something to you guys quick to kind of keep in touch with you, it's a good way for me to do so. It's quick, it's there, it's easy. And speaking of those community posts, you probably saw that I took the time to write another Destiny journal. This one's actually on, of course, Destiny 2, and I took all the lore entries so far and I wrote them down. Peacekeepers just kind of resonated with me because, of course, I've always been a very big faction person with having FWC on my cloaks and everything all the time, but I just wanted to talk about them, especially with the faction rallies around the corner. With other stuff that's to come, you guys can actually expect that my next video is going to be about the 9. Spin foil hats ready for that one, by the way. It's pretty bad. But otherwise, I've got plenty of other ideas in mind. I want to really look over the shadows. I want to really look over Callus a little bit more. And I actually want to start to cover more stuff than just the raids and otherwise. There's so many characters that they've introduced really in Destiny 2 that I want to talk about. And there's others that have more important features and reasonings for being around, like Ulantan. He's listed in a ship, and freaking Ariana, Wei Ning, they're back too. Just, I'm so excited to sit and talk to you guys about this stuff, and it's a matter that I don't have enough time in a single day to cover everything that I want to. I need like more time to do it. I wish I could do this full time right now because I'm that excited. But all the same, it does spread the content out a little bit more, so you guys get to hear me over time, and I get to put a little bit more time and effort into those videos. All the same, though, I'm 100% okay, and I seriously do thank you guys for all that you've helped me through the past year. I realized I actually hit my YouTube anniversary on the 19th, but I spent it face first in the lore and my handwritten grimoire, of course, like I kind of like to do. But here's to another year, to more memories and moments, to new games that we may look at, like Monster Hunter and so on, and hopefully to more sleep. Thanks for listening, guys. I'll see you later. Take care, and I do hope that you guys are all enjoying Destiny 2. Thank you so much again. I'll talk to you later.